Too many parents have had to bury those that they love the most. We cannot accept this as normal in our city. We cannot grow numb to this pain. And today is a devastating reminder of just how much more work there is to be done to combat gun violence across this city.
Before we get started, I just wanted to take a second to wish you guys a happy Easter, or as they now call it in New York City, Ramadan. Earlier this week, Kaori Patterson-Moore lost her life in Brooklyn. A woman who loses her husband, she is called a widow. A man who loses his wife, he's called a widower. A young child who loses both parents is called an orphan. But a parent losing a child, especially a child that's only 7 months old, the anguish is so brutal. There are no words to describe it. I cried for a week when we lost our Yorkie Chewy to cancer. I cannot imagine what the parents of Kaori Patterson-Moore are going through right now. As you just heard from the lead destroyer in New York City, Zohran Mamdani, we cannot accept this as normal in our Islamic Republic. We must continue our dedication to combating gun violence. This young child, this baby, lost her life due to gang violence. Now, sure, a gun happened to be involved, but this was gang violence, which was something that Zohran Mamdani conveniently chose to leave out of his speech. Did you notice that he didn't talk about fighting crime? Zorro didn't talk about combating the gang problem in New York City. The only thing Zohran Mamdani wanted to talk about was guns, guns, guns. This is strange because, according to the most recent crime report from the NYPD that was released last night, during the first quarter of this year, New York City had the fewest shootings in history. Murders are down 28%, burglaries are down 21%. According to the media, New York City is one of the safest major cities in America. If it's so safe, why is Zohran Mamdani committed to taking away your guns? New York already has some of the strictest gun laws in the country. Down here in the South, I can walk into a sporting goods store or a pawn shop. 5 minutes later, I can walk out with a gun. In New York City, it takes 6, 7, 9 months for you to be approved. And that is if you get approved. So why is Zohran Mamdani committed to fighting a problem that's already been fought? Supposedly, murders are down in New York City, violent crime is down, major crimes are down over 5%. So why is Zorro committed to fighting guns when guns are already pretty much outlawed in New York City? Perhaps this was false bravado. Maybe Zohran Mamdani was reading from the typical script that is distributed by doofus Democrats anytime a gun is involved in something. Or maybe Zohran Mamdani is renewing his commitment to fighting those evil firearms to distract from one of the very real problems in New York City, which is the city being on the verge of a financial crisis. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. So going to get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Antelope Hill Publishing. As a content creator, one of the primary requirements of the job is reading. I spend a lot of time reading, and I think it's important to read a variety of viewpoints to figure out the truth of any issue. Unfortunately, a lot of mainstream publishers, they provide limited options, or they refuse to publish authors that don't fit their desired narrative. That is where Antelope Hill Publishing steps in. Antelope Hill is proud to be a free speech publisher that offers a large variety of books that are just hard to find in the mainstream. For example, they've got the Transgender Industrial Complex. This book goes into detail exposing the organizations that funded the transgender movement. It explains how they operate and why they focused on promoting their ideology to kids. Another is The American Regime, which was written by a former January 6th prisoner that was pardoned by Donald Trump. It examines the historical and political reasons for modern government tyranny. Antelope Hill Publishing also sources hard-to-find historical books, so you can learn about history from the original sources. There are countless options available, so click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL10, BTL10. Receive 10% off your first purchase with Antelope Hill Publishing. According to the Comptroller of New York City, the city is facing significant financial crisis. For 2026, the budget gap is $2 billion. Going into 2027, the city is expected to have a $10 billion shortfall. Now, in fairness to Zohran Mamdani, the financial crisis, it's not his fault, but it is his problem. The question is, why is New York City having financial problems? Wall Street alone generates almost $7 billion every year in tax revenue. The economy in New York City generates over $2 trillion every year. Where in the hell is all the money going? Have you noticed that we don't hear Zohran Mamdani talking about free buses anymore? We don't hear about free education. We don't hear about free health care. I wonder why. I wonder if Zorro has figured out that he doesn't have the money to offer those free services. And Zorro, he wants to make the financial problems significantly worse. One of the main reasons that New York City is facing a financial crisis, they are spending billions of dollars every year providing shelter and services to illegal immigrants. Translation: Zorro is taking care of people financially who aren't supposed to be here. Supposedly, there are over 110,000 undocumented migrants being subsidized by New York City. If I had to guess, most of them are not working, unless you consider the conversion of oxygen to carbon dioxide or producing toxic ass gas to be gainful employment. Since 2022, New York City has spent $7 billion caring for illegal immigrants. Last year, they spent $3 billion. It doesn't take an accountant to figure out how to solve this problem. Quit giving money to people who aren't here legally. According to some estimates, the city spends $371 per household per day in some areas. If that number is accurate, it means that some migrant families are receiving over $11,000 a month. How many of you guys are making 11 grand a month? Better yet, how many of you guys are being given $11 a month, much less $11,000? It is absolutely ridiculous. No wonder normal people are leaving this dump, which leads to the next problem. Thousands of people have left the city and they took their money with them. Who in the hell can blame them? The city's turning into a dump. The Islamic call to prayer is waking you up every morning at 5 a.m. Times Square on some nights has turned into a mosque, and the people working in the city, paying these exorbitant tax rates to live there, their tax dollars are being used to feed the Islamists who are trying to take over the city. I was having this conversation last night. We were at dinner and someone asked me why I pay my thumbnail designer so much money every month. I spend a lot of money every month to not have to worry about creating my own thumbnails. They were asking why I don't just use AI. I said, the money I pay him every month, it's a nice tax write-off for me every year. It significantly decreases my tax burden, and I would rather give him the money. I would rather help him support his family than give the money to the government so they can waste it supporting someone who refuses to work. Like I told you guys before, what is happening in New York City and other major cities throughout America, this is not an accident. This is not a coincidence. The other day, the Boston Red Sox, they uploaded a video on social media showing the history of the franchise. A few hours after the video was uploaded, the Red Sox turned off the comments. Why? Because the video reminded people of what America used to be. In the 1970s, the population of Boston was 80% white, 16% black. Immigrants made up around 4% of the overall population. Today, Boston is 44% white, 22% black, and immigrants make up almost 40% of the population. You want to know how Michelle Wu, who has been an absolute disaster as the mayor of Boston, you want to know how she gets reelected? Want to know how Zohran Mamdani gets elected in New York City? This is the reason. While Americans were not paying attention, and when I say Americans, I'm talking about all Americans, white, black, Latino. While we weren't paying attention, doofus Democrats, they were completely flipping the demographics of major cities. When I was growing up, they used to tell us that America was a melting pot. America is the beacon of multiculturalism. That was a myth. Millennials, we were the last generation to experience real American culture. America was a country that consisted of Americans who carefully selected immigrants. If you were from India and you were highly skilled, educated, and you were looking to move here to America to create a better life for your family, you were looking to move here to assimilate and to contribute to the culture, you were more than welcome to join us. But over the last couple of decades, and especially during the 4 years of incompetence with John Biden, we started accepting thousands, maybe even millions that were seeking asylum. The southern border was wide open. We started accepting people from Somalia, countries in the Middle East. Instead of tech geniuses from India or Japan, we were getting rock specialists from Baghdad. And look at the end result. Last I checked, I think Donald Trump had deported around 3 million people. The dude is trying to clean up this mess, but it's hard to do that when doofus Democrats are not only turning our major cities into sanctuary cities, they're also turning them into charity cities because your tax dollars are being used to support people who are here illegally. Sound off in the comments below. Have a great Easter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.